Okay, and now for our first startup. Our first startup to pitch is Pacific, which is a laboratory service provider on a mission to improve access to precision healthcare in Asia Pacific. With us here today to be pitching is the managing director, Dr. Richie Sung. Good afternoon, Dr. Sung.
Good afternoon. So we are Pacific, and we are on a mission to improve access to precision healthcare in Asia Pacific. Precision healthcare is the emerging healthcare practice of customizing healthcare to individual features, such as namely giving the right drug or the right treatment to the right patient. And this has been shown in the world over and over that it is increasing survival over doing the conventional healthcare treatment, which is basically a one-size-fits-all procedure, which is only really benefiting a small proportion of patients. The problem with precision healthcare is that it needs significant multidisciplinary expertise and infrastructure. It needs the drugs, it needs the clinics, it needs the diagnostics, and it needs the management that understands how to bring everything together. In the world, the global ecosystem, US and Europe and UK are more advanced in precision healthcare. They're trying to capture the Asian market, and they have presence and cultural challenges. The Asia Pacific is actually the largest population for precision healthcare, but it has limited solutions with required know-how, recognition, and quality. And that's what brought us to found Pacific. Pacific is a pan-Asia group of companies providing a plug-and-play platform for precision healthcare in Asia Pacific. As you can see, headquarters are in Singapore, where we provide contract research and innovations in microbiome health and digital pathology. In Manila, we provide laboratory services. In Kolkata, we provide clinical consultation, daycare services, and lab services. And altogether, they provide a network that has international domain expertise, presence and networks across Asia Pacific, access to large populations, access to lower operating costs, and track record of delivery and quality. These are the founders. We've worked together for almost 10 years. There's almost over 70 years of experience between us. And as you can see, we worked at prestigious institutions like Roche in Germany, Philippines Heart Center at University of Colorado, Cambridge Institute of Cancer Research, and all of us at National University of Singapore. We've worked with the top academic centers, the top biotech, and the top pharma. This is my background. I'm actually Australian born, Chinese, Malaysian. So you can see I'm at home in this area. I did my PhD in Perth. I worked in Germany for 3 years, where I helped to develop real-time PCR, the technology used for COVID testing right now. Diazio was my mentor in America. He's the director of the Cancer Center in Mayo. And I was a tenured professor in NUS and published numerous papers, pioneered precision healthcare globally, and a key opinion leader in precision healthcare, genomics, liquid biopsy, and digital pathology. We went and built the first precision healthcare center in Asia. As you can see, we've transplanted biobanks, drug development, genomics, bioinformatics, digital pathology, and molecular diagnostics on the conventional healthcare system. And that helped to bring in more than $278 million $200 million US in funding to Singapore. This is Pacific Singapore. It provides world-class contract research services and innovation, such as preclinical planning, clinical trial planning and management, laboratory management, advanced laboratory services. And we have some innovation projects where we're developing products for microbiome health based on a microbiome discovery, and digital pathology to drive new healthcare applications from digitizing pathology. This is Pacific Philippines. It's a leader in molecular diagnostics in the Philippines, and we provide a one-stop shop for going from birth all the way to oncology with all the tests that you require that are clinically recommended. This is international quality, local and expert support, one-stop shop convenience, and national outreach are our features. Pacific India is a leading oncology daycare center in Eastern India, provides clinical consultation, daycare services, lab services, and you can see we have numerous specialties, especially focusing on oncology. This is our business model. So we start with domain expertise, networks, and regional presence. That is our USP that many others cannot replicate. We provide seed investment. We developed clinical lab centers such as the Philippines. That can build on itself to go towards profit, IPO, and partnerships. This development allows us to have presence, lower operating costs, and biosamples and data. And with seed investment, this drives our contract research and innovation to get more profits and IPO to IP rights, therapeutics, and diagnostics. And then we finally get to our goal, which is clinics, treatment, diagnostics, management, and that wonderful Asia Pacific precision healthcare service network. We address unmet healthcare needs here, become an established Asia Pacific market leader, and ultimately improve access to precision healthcare. In Philippines, you can see the model is working really nicely. We are on a very sharp rise. No thanks to COVID, we had a bit of an interruption, but we're on a very sharp rise, and the projections are very promising. And you can see there's numerous catalysts that we have planned all the way through, and we've already achieved a lot of catalysts to boost our growth. So our plans are for growth capital, about 1 million to obtain capital equipment to complete the capture of genomics market in Philippines, 1 million to expand platforms to other territories in Singapore, 1 million to upgrade the skeleton core, such as informatics, to higher level and more projects, and 200K to capture the oncology daycare market until it's self-sustaining and profitable. Exit opportunities include mergers and acquisitions in numerous groups, maybe forming an IQVIA or Asia Pacific, or Amazon or Asia Pacific, and so forth. I'll carry on quickly. And as you can see, this is a very healthy area with very large acquisitions, especially in the last few years because of COVID. For ROHTO, we promise added revenue streams from Pacific initiatives, added R&D excellence from existing and new product IP development, especially the microbiome for all its products, and added channels for promotion of current and future ROHTO products. I think I've exceeded my 5 minutes here, so I'll leave this slide on, and that will be my talk for today.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sung. And yes, it's a little over 5 minutes, but thank you so much for that presentation. Now we're going to open the panel to the judges if they have questions for you. And we're going to start off with RJ. RJ has a question for Dr. Sung.
Terrific. Hi, Dr. Sung. Thank you so much for your presentation today. Just really curious about your seed investment. So it seems like you invest in different clinics around the region, specifically in the Philippines. Can you tell me about the process and how you select these specific clinics?
We seed our own development. We're not actually seeding other clinics. So you can see that what we built in Philippines was from the ground up. From India, it was from the ground up. But we are open to partnerships once we get going with other groups.
Understood. Yes, because in your use of funds, I did not see any investment amounts. So I was a little bit confused, but thank you for the clarification.
Yes.
And Augie?
Yeah, happy to go next. Thank you, Dr. Sung, for the presentation. Super insightful. I have a question for you around market readiness. I think the long-term vision of precision medicine is very interesting and makes a lot of sense. Can you talk to us a little bit about your perception of your core markets, the Philippines, India, etc., that you're going after, and like in the hierarchy of needs, are we yet at that stage of precision medicine, or maybe do you feel these markets are more in the generalized reactive medicine space before we eventually get there? Like, what's your sense of market readiness for this type of solution?
Yeah, I've watched this field for over 25 years. Where we are in Philippines and India, we were in Singapore about 10 years ago. So every country has its own trajectory. But what I do also know is it takes 3 to 5 to 10 years sometimes to warm up the markets. And you don't want to have Philippines reaching the stage when they're ready and then have to wait 3 or 5 years or 10 years to get everything ready. So in some ways we're hedging and we're going ahead of the curve. But in some ways we need to come in early because we need to create awareness and education as well. But there's enough activity on the ground in Philippines to make it worth coming off the ground in Philippines. I hope that answers your question.
It does. Thank you.
Thank you, Augie. Anyone else? Judges? Okay.
I want to add a follow-up question to that. Also on market readiness, right? Apart from just awareness of people for precision medicine, precision healthcare, can they afford it? I mean, like Singapore is a very different market from Philippines and India. Like, is there enough of a market in these, like emerging markets? Are there enough people who can afford this to make it worthwhile for your efforts?
Yes, we did our homework. I mean, Singapore is a population of 6 million people, and it's quite a saturated market. So even if there's a larger proportion of people willing to take precision medicine, it's a much, all you need from India and Philippines, for example, is a 1% of the population to match Singapore. So there is a very valid choice to coming to Philippines and India. And also there's a very open market in Philippines and India. It's not a saturated market. There's a huge opportunity, and also the population's needed. In terms of affordability, that's where our expertise comes in. Because if you know how the domain works, and if you know all the tests, you know all the partners, you can actually make it more affordable. And that's part of our mission, actually, is to make it affordable through intelligence. And you can still make a profitable organization that way. So we're trying to kill all the birds with one stone here. Unmet healthcare needs, but become a market leader.
Tell us a bit more about the profitability. So how does that work? So if you're investing in equipment for, say, one lab, like what sort of volume of customers would you need to make that at least break even?
Yeah, so in terms of the lab technology, it's actually, this is why we call ourselves more a precision healthcare. The lab is just one small part of it. So what we're generating here is we're generating that whole system, and generating the networks, generating the clinical practice, generating the doctors and consumers and patients for this practice. So you don't exactly get the returns directly on instruments here. You get returns on generating that whole healthcare system. And sometimes you get the returns through pharmacy, or you get the returns through clinical treatment, or you get yourself returns through the hospital management. And that's where I think you can see in our model that a lot of our planning is really to get into alliance and partnership, because it all is about assembling these pieces together. So in terms of building the lab, we're just building one part of that piece. But that's an important part to assemble for larger organizations and so forth.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Sung. And Miguel? Yes, Florence.
Okay, thank you so much for your presentation, Dr. Sung. Like one question from me. So you already mentioned regarding how Philippines and India is right now an open market is very promising compared with Singapore, for example, currently being a bit more saturated in terms of like precision medicines. How about like just really wondering what's the next step or maybe next country that, for example, do you want to expand the services into? And then what do you think also regarding the precision medicine market, for example, in Japan?
Okay, so we already have a lot of high interest from Thailand. So actually, that our eyes are already on Thailand in some ways. But we're obviously not. We're very open to places like Vietnam, Malaysia, Indonesia, and essentially anybody. And actually, Bangladesh has come knocking on our door, since Calcutta is very next door to Bangladesh. So there's a lot of open markets to them. We have the products that make things affordable in that market, and also generate demand in that market. Japan is a wonderful place. I remember introducing precision medicine to Japan around 2008 in the Japanese Cancer Association talks and so forth. Japan is a slow developer. They're very careful. So Japan still has a lot of open space to develop, and to bring the expertise there, our experience. I think we can really make that market grow in Japan. So it's really a matter of bringing everybody together at the same time. I think from what I know, there's some initiatives in Tokyo. Not much has gone to private. So I think there's a real open territory for private to move forward. And precision medicine has to be driven in some part by private.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Florence San. And thank you, Dr. Sung. That's all the time we have for questions right now. Thank you very much. And we're going to move on to the next startup.